Welcome to the Awesemo Early Bird Podcast. It's your old pal EMac coming to you with one Joey Korman as we get ready for Tuesday, March 10th, NBA action. It's fantastic, as they used to say. 9 games to go. We just got done with a little bit of a scramble. Apparently, the Milwaukee Bucks decided they were going to sit darn near their whole team here. Joey, I feel alive. I feel like a shot of adrenaline is coursing through my veins. And now as the games are starting, it looks like Norm Powell's out with an injury. So one of the pivots.
Wait. We're not done yet. OG Anunoby just headed to the locker room.
Oh, no.
I mean, this is crazy. This feels like a 19-game slate. So, I've never seen anything like this. I can't remember a night like this in a long time. I mean, the optimal lineup's going to be $20,000 tonight, legitimately.
I can't even fathom.
I mean, what's going on here? I mean, the noob. I was feeling real good. I was just telling you how good I felt about Newbie with Powell getting hurt. Because I had him, and now he decided he's going to take the night off. It's I think it's the daylight savings thing.
Well, Frank Mason, come on down.
Frank Mason. Oh, he's got one turnover, negative F. This is. I'm not even prepared to get this next slate out because this was the most stressful slate of the entire year. I think.
I think this is a good reminder. So bringing it back in, since we do have 9 games to talk about, and we will go game by game. This is just a reminder of a couple things. So we had about 12 minutes to make some decisions here. We found out maybe it was a tiny bit longer, but the problem was the first news that just came out was a starting lineup for the Bucks that did not have Middleton in it. There was no other accompanying news. It was not Brook Lopez starting. It was Robin. It obviously was not Giannis Antetokounmpo starting. It was his brother, Theonis. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name.
Thanasis.
And then it was Sterling Brown and I forget who else it was. So it was like literally nobody you were expecting to see in the starting lineup. And then so all of a sudden we already knew Bledsoe was out. We didn't know what to do with Middleton. You have to assume probably he's not playing if he's not starting. So you take him out of all your lineups. You've got to assume that Robin Lopez is going to play instead of Brook. So you got to take Brook out of all your lineups. And then what do you do with Dante DiVincenzo? Because he really doesn't start. He generally comes off the bench anyway. But is he playing limited minutes? How many people are left? What's going on here, etc. So that was a quick scramble to try to figure out what you wanted to do. And because of the salary disparity, you couldn't just do 1-for-1 global late swaps. You really needed an optimizer to help yourself out if you were running anything more than, say, 10 lineups. But even then, if you didn't clear out your previous rules and kind of leave everything wide open, you could still be left holding the bag with stuff. And at the meantime, if you were also playing hockey, Connor McDavid was ruled out about 10 minutes prior to that. So I was leisurely fixing my hockey lineups. And then all of a sudden, I had to figure out what the heck I was going to do with Milwaukee here. So it's a reminder, don't play more than you're ready to lose at this point in the season. Generally, things won't quite be as concentrated unless it's a sub slate or a late slate, but it just so happened that there were only 3 games on our main slate here. And with Giannis out, we already know that the usage is just and fantasy points per minute are incredibly high for Bledsoe and Middleton. You have Bledsoe out, so you're like, all right, well, Middleton's literally going to have to do everything. That elevates their guards and some of the other wings. Now you say, okay, Middleton's out. Where does it all go? The team starts to fall apart. So it sort of becomes a problem. How do you project minutes? Who do you know is going to be in? Who do you not know? How do you pivot away from it? And how do you do all this under the gun? Very tricky. Very tricky. So my thought is, hopefully I survive. I didn't see the full numbers, but I think Middleton is still going to be about probably 40% would be my guess, 30-40% in most contests. So, if you can get a leg up on those teams, you have a chance, and you just need one lineup to break free from this absolute chaotic mess.
Yeah, this is just, I can't say anything better than that. I guess just move on to tomorrow because everything's locked. We have nothing else to decide. So.
Yeah, and this is kind of like getting into baseball. Hey, random rainout, which we see. Yeah, hey, 20% chance of rain. Well, if there's a pop-up storm right over the stadium, you can have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Or if it's a faster moving storm that decides to sit somewhere, that can be a problem as well. That's kind of like what was going on tonight. The problem is you you can't have that, power forward that's still on your team, go for 70 points, much like that random third baseman you still have that goes for 3 home runs, even though 4 of your other guys end up getting rained out. There is no recovering from this in basketball. It just doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we should move on tomorrow. I mean, because
Let's
that's
do it.
the only thing we could do. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm sure we'll get some more updates as we go on about more guys getting hurt. I mean, pretty soon we're gonna have. I mean, it's a Chris Boucher night if I've ever seen one.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right, we have Chris Boucher was DNP yesterday because Marc Gasol was back, though Marc Gasol sitting on the back-to-back after having missed 15 games himself. Goodness gracious. So let's move on. We've got a whole new host of injuries, but at least we know what they are. If we are looking at Boston and Indiana, again, we'll go game by game here. We actually do have the projected point total. Boston favored by 2 in Indianapolis. We know that Jaylen Brown is out. We know that Malcolm Brogdon is out. Victor Oladipo is carrying the Q tag. He's dealing with the knee issue, but he has played in the last 2 games. It started both and played 26 and 27 minutes. So thoughts are he probably will play in this one. Jeremy Lamb out for the rest of the season. Broke a bone in his leg and tore his ACL. Yikes. So he's toast. You've got Doug McDermott, who is doubtful with the toe injury. He was out on Sunday. And then you have Robert Williams is also, dealing with a sore back. So we'll have to see what happens with him. But if we look at these guys, looking at the healthy players, you've got Jason Tatum here. You've got Kemba Walker, who's working his way back from his own knee issues. He played 31 minutes on Sunday. He had played 27 on Friday. So that seems to say to me he's probably going to be in that 30-ish minute range now, which is a little more helpful. What do you want to do with our first game here? It's not overly exciting with that 215 over under.
No, I mean, it's not going to be a game that people are going to target. And one guy, I mean, you look at, especially with Brogdon out, is Sabonis. He's got a really nice 6 times value rate this season at this price of about 20%. I want to confirm I'm on DraftKings. 20%, 6 times value rates at this price. 51%, 5 times value rate at this price. I don't expect him to be too heavily owned in this one. So against a Boston team that in a slower paced game, not particularly vulnerable to the inside. So Sabonis will be a guy I'm looking for there. Kemba's another guy that I think now that his minutes are up, his usage really goes up without Jaylen Brown on the floor. So a 34% 6 times value rate at 7,200 on DraftKings. Those would be the 2 guys I'm targeting. Hayward went off last game without Jaylen Brown. He went for 44.25, but not a guy that I prefer Kemba in this situation over Gordon Hayward. It's a really tough matchup for Hayward playing on the wings there. Other than that, not too much standing out. Looks like TJ Warren is going to be back as well. Did he miss last game as well?
Let me see.
He played last game.
Yeah, he played 33 minutes. He had missed the game prior to that.
Mm-hmm.
But he looks like he is back and good to go. He's not, this will just be the second time he's played in a game against Boston, so not really much to take away from there because of the ever-shifting rotations and injury issues throughout the whole season that we've seen. So let's head on to our next one. This one's a little more appealing now. We have 2 7:00 games, and then there's a whole hour until the next wave tips off. So SuperDraft will be locking at 8 o'clock on Tuesday night, and that is something that you will want to remember because you'll have time to take care of your main slate lineups and then head on over to SuperDraft and check things out. They have a $36,000 jump shot, $12 entry, 7,000 to first on Tuesday. That is, I think, about the 3rd largest contest that they have ever run. You will get live before lock that will stay on at least for an extra half hour. I don't think they're going to go the full hour extra there to the Super Draft block, but they will definitely stick around and answer questions on that show. If you guys have not yet signed up for Super Draft, use the promo code OSMO when you do, and when you make your first deposit, if you put in $100, Super Draft will immediately give you $20 in Super Cash as a bonus, and that comes out of your account first, and it's valid to be used into entry into any contest. Next game we have, the other 7 o'clock game that I alluded to, is the New York Knickerbockers in Washington taking on the Wizards. Wizards favored by 4 at home. This is one of the, we have 5 totals for tomorrow's game so far. This is one of the other ones. 227 implied point total here. Looking at the injuries, nothing overly crazy. Anjix Pachet. When I look at his name, I can't say it, but if I just say Pasesnik is questionable. He's dealing with the sore neck. We've got Dennis Smith Jr., who is dealing with still that remainder of a concussion issue. And then for the Wizards, Jerome Robinson dealing with a sore heel. So those are the only people that are dinged up. I think everybody is pretty much in play from the Knicks. They get a nice up-pace game here from the Wizards, who are still playing at, even though their defense has gotten a little bit better, they're still playing at top 5 pace over the last 15 games here. So we want to look to Julius Randle at 7,600 on DK, 7,000 on FanDuel, 32 on Yahoo. You've got Alfred Payton. Great matchup for his skill set here, 63, 62, 25. Those would be my 2 high points, but you can start to roll the dice a little bit. Bobby Portis Jr. has been getting some extra minutes. Those, of course, can disappear at any time because, hey, it's the Knicks. But you got him, you got RJ Barrett. If Smith Jr. is out, you can maybe roll the dice at a near minimum price, Frankie Ntilikina, if you are feeling frisky. What do you like here from the Knickerbockers?
Yeah, so this one is the higher over-under than the other early game. But, I mean, if you want to play that early, they're still doing those early slates on DraftKings.
I don't know that they are. I think they usually start them if they don't start at 7. They do for baseball. At least they did last year, which was very fun.
Yeah, it's nice because you're not going to get as much competition in those. A lot of the bigger players don't put the time in to play those. So this game isn't. I mean, I know the over/under is 227, but the game's not as appealing. The prices are kind of jacked up for some of these guys, and there just aren't a lot of opportunity injuries. I mean, Jerome Robinson injury isn't going to make much noise because whether that brings guys like Isak Banda or like Troy Brown Jr. might get more minutes in that situation. So it doesn't factor in too much. I agree with you on Payton. Payton's probably my favorite target from the Knicks on DraftKings. He's got 24% 6 cents value right there. And then RJ Barrett is another guy who's has an ability to go off. It's a great matchup versus Washington. And he's probably my favorite. Besides him and Payton are my 2 favorite targets on the Knicks. So nothing on Washington really standing out. I mean, Bryant's low price with the minutes are hardly a guarantee. I know he played 16 minutes last game, so it's really hard to project when they're ready to bring him into full speed. And then Troy Brown is interesting. If you do project Troy Brown to get minutes in the he did get 30 minutes off the bench and 28 minutes the game before that. So if you do get Robinson out again, I think he's definitely worth a look as a low price play because he does have some value with heavy minutes.
All right, moving on to the Wizard sides here. I did forget to mention, I don't know that I forgot because he has been playing pretty poorly, but Ish Smith is still going to be out. He's been dealing with the sore hamstring. He has not played. It'll be a full week now on Tuesday. So we have seen Shabazz Napier's price kind of start to tick up. His performance, pretty mediocre at best until Sunday because, he got to go against the team that drafted him. That would be the Miami Heat. He played 40 minutes in that game, ended up with 51 fantasy points. So, hey, solid 1.2 points per minute there. But that was on the back of 4 steals, which we have not seen from him with great frequency. That's his high over the last few games. He usually gets 1 or 2, but he took 14 field goal attempts, made 6 of them. He was 4 from 8 from 3-pointers. That was more 3-pointers than he had made in the 5 previous games combined. So this is a bit of an outlier, but he is going against the Knicks, not the worst play in the world. You also have Bradley Beal, Usually not someone I turn to immediately. I've said many times. By the way, while I say I don't really like his fantasy upside, he's probably my favorite player in the league.
EMac,
So I don't
spiritual,
dislike Bradley Beal.
connected.
It's just a point per dollar thing here, and his upside is so tied to scoring. We need him to have a phenomenal shooting night. For instance, his game against Atlanta, he was 13 of 21 from the field, made 7 3-pointers, had 4 assists, a block, 2 steals, 35 points, but he only had 52 fantasy points. I'd rather have the guys that get the double-double bonus and are in the mix for that regularly. They get the blocks and steals upside, etc. I think Bradley Beal is a fine player. As I said, one of my favorites since I'm in the Washington, D.C. area here. Just not for fantasy purposes. But this is a matchup against the Knicks, so I do think he is in play. What do you like here? There's the front court sort of mix and match. So outside of Davis Bertans, who you really need lightning in a bottle to nail those 3-pointers. But sorry, and I meant to throw this to you, but this is pretty interesting. Here's his 3-point. This is not his field goal attempts. This is his 3-point attempts the last few games. 8 for 15, 3 for 9, 4 for 12, 6 for 12, 8 for 10, 1 for 8, 4 for 11, 5 for 11. He just jacks from 3. That's all he does. Gets about a block and a steal combined per game and about 4 rebounds per game. So if he's dropping all his threes, you get big points from him. If he's not, you get something in the upper teens. So it's kind of boom or bust there, but he's in the mix too.
Nothing really stands out for me from the Washington front court. I mean, on a 9-game slate, you're probably looking elsewhere unless some injuries pop up.
How do you feel about Bradley Beal?
I wouldn't play him. He's reached that peak that was so hot for a while, reached that price peak, and now he's kind of starting to trend down a little bit. Hasn't really had a blow up game since he hasn't hit. Let's see, Utah. 228 was last time he broke the 6 times value right there. It was a 70-point game in Utah where no one had him. Absolutely no one. He was like 2% owned. And then he really had, he had a 61-point game in Golden State, but still at that price, it's not like a must play because he's not breaking 6 times value at 10.4K. But so yeah, he's too pricey for him. No way.
All right, on to our series of 8 o'clock games. We have a bunch here. We've got, let's start off with Minnesota at Houston. We have Houston favored at home by 12. This is a 244 over-under. There's going to be a lot to look at here. Of course, no Karl Anthony Towns. You've got Eric Gordon questionable. He has missed the last 2 games for Houston, dealing with the sore knee. You have Ben McLemore, who is also questionable. He, let me think. He did play on the 7th. That was Saturday. They play on Sunday? I don't think they did. In any event, he's been dealing with a sore, an illness for him. Yes, they did play on Sunday against Orlando. How did I forget about that? Because I was all over Vucevic in that game. You've got him potentially out. The problem is, if they're out, it's not a problem because you can start to look at people like Jeff Green that would bring in Daniel House into play. Really can't go to PJ Tucker here. But if they're all healthy, plus Westbrook is playing and Harden, it makes it a little hard, even though it's a phenomenal matchup here. They're going to kind of come in as a little bit of roster filler. That's my thought there on Houston. What do you like from Houston? And take it away with
and I'm never a guy who targets, at least in the GPP, will target the highest over-under game, especially when it's going to exceed so many others by, I don't know, Phoenix Portland would be up there. But other than that, this is going to be the highest over-under by far, to 44.5. If I'm going to play, Westbrook has been the much better player value-wise than Harden over the last 2 months. On the season, Harden has been a better value at the current prices. So, if I had to pick there, I think Westbrook's going to be the much higher owned player. I'd probably trend towards Harden. Has been really struggling. So definitely want to proceed with caution there. I would say if you check the ownership prices and ownership projections and you see Harden's going to be a really chalk play, then I'd probably stray away. But if I'm going to target, the chalk game, I'm going to want to be a little contrarian when targeting the chalk game. So it's hard to say Harden would be contrarian, but he did go up for 68 a couple games ago. And I think he would be my preferred play over Westbrook when making a decision. Other than that, it's kind of hard. All these prices are really jacked up because of the over-under. Even PJ Tucker's at 4,200, which is jacked up for him. So is there anything that stands out for you, EMac? I mean, Daniel House, 4,300 on DraftKings, decent. I could deal with that, but I'm not. Beasley at 6,200. No, no thanks.
Yeah, that's sadly no one really on that side of it. If you want to look at D'Angelo Russell, he is another guy. He's like a poor man's version of Bradley Beal. Priced up a little bit, heavily scoring dependent, solid matchup here, but again, he's just everything comes from his point. So if his shot's not falling, and by the way, he's 0 for 11 from 3-point range his last 2 games combined, that's not a trend that's going to last. His 2 games prior to that, he was 7 for 19, which is pretty good. So, it's one of those where what are you going to do? Looking at a really volatile guy at 8,500. So, not really standing out too much there. Naz Reid, foul issues, plus he is more of a center, not quite as nimble as some of the other ones, and we know that that Houston's going to play 5 out, so it's hard to see what he can do against them. The only time he faced in the season, I'm assuming it was with the T-Wolves, 17 minutes, 20 fantasy points, so not overly exciting there. I do like Juancho Hernan Gomez as a bit of a differentiation play, but he's, just kind of another also ran here. So despite the high total, it makes it a little bit hard if Minnesota's going to play everybody. Now, we could see them potentially rest somebody, or somebody could be hurt or sick or whatever, and then that would change things a little bit. But despite this being an excellent game total, not overly exciting here. Let's head on to Chicago, who is hosting Cleveland. I believe we do not have that one. But why don't you start us off with this one? A little bit of news coming out of Chicago here, and since you live in Chicago, tell the loyal audience what's going on.
Yeah, our resident clown has finally cracked. Boylan, he has decided to start Kobe White, finally. And I wish there was some other news regarding our Chicago Bulls in terms of who our head coach is. But the fact that Kenny Atkinson is out in Brooklyn before Boylan is pretty shocking. I don't know. Now, boy, if you would have told me that 3 head coaches would have been fired this year and none of them would have been Jim Boylan, that just said something about our upper management here at Garpax.
It is crazy. He's played in 64 games, and as you said, he hasn't started yet this season.
No, and I don't like it. I don't like it from a fantasy perspective. I never like the situation where a guy who's playing absolutely crushing it off the bench goes into the starting lineup. The ownership's going to be off the charts against Cleveland, who is really, really a great matchup, and I don't like it. I won't be playing Kobe White.
It looks like it will be Tomas Satoransky that will be going to the bench. I suspect they'll play similar minutes to what they normally do. I suspect rotation will be about the same. Maybe they're just looking for a bit of a spark here in the middle of the doldrum of winter.
He can't really play any more minutes. He's playing already 30.
Right. No, so I'm saying the starting, not starting, I don't think changes things a ton, other than more people may flock to it because, he's starting now.
Exactly. So that's why and his price is now even at the highest I think it's ever been, 6.8 on DraftKings. So for all those reasons, I won't be looking for Kobe White to repeat his scoring binge. Another guy who relies on making a lot of shots. He doesn't do much else. He does get some assists, but he's going to need to be really hot in order to reach this price tag. So yeah, not someone I'm targeting. Not a really appealing game. I don't think anyone's out. Levine's out again. Garland's been out for a while. Thompson's going to be out. So people are going to look for Drummond at 8,700 because I think those minutes are now more stable now that they don't have a true center backing him up besides Ante Zic. So
yeah, Tristan Thompson has an eye injury suffered on Sunday. He only played 8 minutes.
Yeah, Drummond loves playing the Bulls. Loves the Bulls. I don't have the stats, but I know he loves playing the Bulls.
He has played them 4 times so far this season. I'm guessing most, if not all of those were while he was with Detroit, but he does have 31 minutes per game, 44 fantasy points per game. That's about 1.3 per minute. That's pretty solid. And we know that Cleveland is kind of down to a 7.5 man rotation. So if Drummond is playing, he should see in the mid 30s, somewhere between 32 and 34 minutes. Kevin Love, should also be playing. Somewhat intriguing. Price keeps coming up on him. And of course, musical chairs. His minutes can be taken away at any time because, hey, that's what they seem to do to him. Neither of these teams plays again on Wednesday, so it's an island game for both of them. But as Joey mentioned, the usual injuries are in play for Chicago. So we still have Chris Dunn, Chandler Hutchison, and Luke Cornett are all out. Ryan Arcidiacono dealing with the sore Achilles, and then Zach Levine out. From the Cleveland side, in addition to Thompson, we're still going to be missing Darius Garland. That will put some heavy minutes again on Colin Sexton. And then Kevin Porter Jr. is questionable. Played just 10 minutes. Let me see. He is in the concussion protocol.
Kevin Porter Jr. is out.
Yep. So he is in the concussion protocol there. So he will not be playing either. And then Dean Wade, not that it matters, but it kind of does because he's a healthy body, is not healthy. He's dealing with a sore ankle. He did not play on Sunday. He has been out for almost a week.
That sounds like a guy who should be running a school. Like a college, Dean Wade. I don't know what that is. But yeah, he's in the G League. It says right here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Chetty Osman. Are we doing back-to-back big games for Chetty Osman? I don't think we're doing that.
In good conscience, I can't say that. On to our next one, Dallas at San Antonio. These guys have their fair share of injuries as well. We do not have the point total here, but looking from the Dallas side, you've got Luka Doncic is questionable with the sprained right wrist. That is his shooting hand. Seth Curry is out again with an ankle injury. Jalen Brunson is out with a shoulder injury. You've got, Dorian Finney-Smith, questionable. He has a hip issue. He has not played since March 4th. There was Willie Cauley-Stein was the other one I wanted to say. He got dinged up, it was an illness, sorry. So he's already been ruled out. He did play on Sunday, only 10 minutes though. There. Yikes. What do you want to do with the Dallas side of this? I'm assuming Luka will play. If he does, he's phenomenal. Kristaps Porzingis, price is coming up. It has been warranted. In his last 5 games, he is averaging 26 points, 11 rebounds, 3 assists, and 4.2 combined blocks and steals for 55 fantasy points. He is the cover boy of our podcast photo today.
Ooh.
The unicorn deal. Are you interested in the unicorn at this lofty price tag?
Is there a cover boy podcast or cover boy jinx I need to be aware of?
Who was it? Oh, I didn't do it last night. I don't know who was
it. Bledsoe this week? Wasn't Bledsoe yesterday? I think it was.
It might have been.
That's a jinx if I've ever heard one. It's a big jinx. I think it was Bledsoe. Yeah. Or no, it was Trae Young. It was Trae Young, who was also not doing very well. So.
Yeah. Let's see. So Porzingis, 93 on DK, 94 on FanDuel, 41 on Yahoo. Of course, you got Tim Hardaway Jr. at 63, 61, 21. I do like that 21 price points. Anybody intrigue you out of the top 3 guys? Luka, Porzingis, and Tim Hardaway Jr.
Yeah, I'm such a Patty Mills guy. I always seem to say Patty Mills just because he can just play randomly like 23 minutes and make like 5 out of 8 threes and have a really big game, especially when he's like 3,100. I do like Patty Mills here. He's actually got
DeJounte Murray is out, and Jakob Poeltl.
Yeah,
Jakob Poeltl's out. Bellinelli's questionable, and then Lonnie Walker missed Sunday's game. He's questionable again with a leg injury, so could be thin minutes.
All about Patty Mills here. All about Patty Mills. 3,100. He's got not even factoring in DeJounte Murray playing. Patty Mills is a 44% 6-time value rate, or 32% 7 times value rate. So the minutes are going to increase. Derek White is going to be the chalk, just because I don't know. He might not get this. You never know what Pop's going to do. So, but he's the better permanent player generally. But I would trend Patty Mills here. I really like him in this spot against Dallas.
All right, you've got on the Spurs side, in addition to Mills, we've seen, of course, DeMar DeRozan trying to do the heavy lifting here without LaMarcus Aldridge. His price on DK, bit of a steal, 7,400. He's 8,000 on FanDuel, 36 on Yahoo. He, I think, is someone That just it should be on your short list there. He has let's see, DK points here, 43, 43, 36, 27, 35, 51 in his last few games. Now you know why his price is not really exceeding, but reasonable matchup here against Dallas. This will be the fourth time he has gone against them. He has shot 62% against them this season, but he is averaging 46 fantasy points per game. He's going to have the volume. The usage is going to be there for him. If he can convert, he should have a good fantasy performance. Anything else from this game?
Yes. So getting back to DeRozan, I'm right now pulling up his usage without Aldridge and Murray on the court. It's not loading. And he gets a big usage bump without Aldridge. I think it gets up to about 30% with him. And yes, 31.2 usage rates without Murray, and Aldridge on the court this season, averaging 1.35 fantasy points per minute. I mean, he's a guy that I would be, if I see his ownership trending on a 9-game slate towards 45% on Awesimo's ownership projections, I might be a little wary. But if it stays under, 40%, 35%, I could definitely do DeRozan here. And for what it's worth, Patty Mills also a big fantasy point per minute bump without Aldridge and Murray on the floor. He goes from 0.83 to 1.02 in 628 minutes. So Patty Mills, that's more than Derek White's doing in 677 minutes. So take note.
That is a good call out. I do like that. Some nice placeholder value. He may make an appearance as a good value play in the DFS Building Blocks article. That is a free article that's in front of the paywall. You guys can check that out. It's usually posted right around lunchtime after we get that first injury report. So I can confirm if people are in or out that I've spent all that time writing up. Also, if you guys have not yet signed up for Awesimo, if you use the promo code EARLYBIRD, all one word, you can get 50% off any 1 week package. Moving along here to Orlando at Memphis. This one does have the Vegas odds. It's a 2-point advantage for the Grizzlies at home, 223 over under. With regards to Orlando, they are going to be without Evan Fournier again. He's been dealing with the sprained UCL. Get used to it, guys. Baseball's right around the corner. We're going to be talking about UCL injuries. Jonathan Isaac remains out. Let's see. What do they say here? Out for the rest of the season. Sorry, I clicked on the wrong one. Wow, is that really all that's out right now for the Magic?
Or for the Magic, yeah.
I guess it was Gordon who had been dealing with playing those just massive minutes and then had a sore knee, so he missed a game. But it looks like he's back. And wait for it, since he missed that game, his last 36 minutes, 37 minutes, 36 minutes. I guess they're not going to let him get to 40, but 36 is good enough. Yikes. On the Memphis side, we, of course, are without Jaren Jackson Jr. and Brandon Clark. That means that Jonas Valanciunas should be in our plans. Oh, no. His price has climbed. He's up to 8,200 on DK, but he is just dropping massive rebound totals since he has been the lone pivot man. He's playing about 28 minutes per game, and he is scoring about 38 fantasy points in those 28 minutes. He's still going to be on my list in this one, just because of the minutes.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't. That's a prize. That's 8,200. We've never seen Joe Val. I mean, I don't think we've seen him play like this before. But that's
in stretches. But it's always been the minutes that have been an issue. But now that they don't have anybody else in the front court that can come in, and they're still clawing to hang on to that 8 seed. That's the factors that we haven't seen that give us confidence that I think you can look to 28 to 30 minutes as a projectable baseline for it.
My big concern is that he had been getting the minutes. I mean, he got the 32, and I'm just afraid that his price hike is dictated by the fact that he just played Atlanta, a great matchup. He got the heavy minutes at 32, but I still don't think he's guaranteed those heavy minutes. I mean, he got 28. Amazingly, Grizzlies have dealt with a blowout in one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 out of 8 games has been a blowout game for Memphis. So maybe not the best way to dictate whether his minutes will go. In the most recent game that wasn't a blowout, he did play 32 minutes. So yeah, I think if he gets those 30 minutes, he can easily reach value. But I just think there's too much risk for him to, maybe play only 26, 27, 28 minutes and not quite hit that price point you're going to need at 8,200 on DraftKings.
Would you like Vucevic on the other side?
No, this game is, I don't think there's going to be a lot of targets in this game in general. 223 over-under is pretty mediocre. I don't love anyone in this game, so maybe go ahead and target that. But Aaron Gordon would probably be my favorite target here, just because when he gets the minutes, he's putting up really good value rates, and 7,900 is not too bad. Vucevic, I don't love. Is Fultz still? Fultz is playing again. No, tough to really find much. I don't know. I don't see much here on a 9-game slate. I don't see it.
All right, then let's head on to our final 3 games. These games are all at 10 or 10:30. We have Phoenix at Portland at 10 o'clock. We have DeAndre Ayton could be missing his 3rd straight game with an ankle sprain. We do know that Kelly Oubre Jr. is out. He has a partially torn meniscus, I believe is what it is. They haven't ruled him out yet for the year, but he's just not going to play for the rest of the season. There's no reason for him to. Cam Johnson, illness, wait for it. Now it's been diagnosed as mononucleosis. He is out for at least 2 weeks. My guess is he could be done for all intents and purposes for the year. So if Ayton does play, this is a nice spot for him. If he doesn't, we're going to continue to see heavy opportunities going to Aaron Baines, Ricky Rubio, and Devin Booker. Baines has done absolutely phenomenally in his 3 matchups so far against Portland. Now, this does include his amazing game where he was $3,000 even, and he went 9 for 14 from 3. But even if you get that 70-point game out, doing some quick math in my head, he is still averaging about 30 fantasy points, 27 or 28 fantasy points per the other 2 matchups against Portland and Hassan Whiteside. So I like Baines in this one. 59, still reasonable. I'm good with Devin Booker. I like Ricky Rubio a lot. And then on the other side, we've got Lillard, who is back with no minutes limit, but he has not regained that hot streak form, that heater that he was on prior to his groin injury. So he's more of a game stat guy for me, in my opinion. You've got CJ McCollum starting to have his price point dip down a little bit. I would rather take McCollum over Lillard for the discount. And then I am okay with Hassan Whiteside in this one. He's up to $9,000 on DK. He's performed well in these matchups. Should see 30 to 34 minutes as the Trailblazers try to catch Memphis for that final playoff spot. What do you like here for the first of our triple late night hammer?
Yeah, Lillard stands out at that price at DraftKings 9,100. I think people are going to be all over him at that price. And like you said, he has not regained that form yet. I would proceed with caution. He's a streaky player. We've seen it all season where he'll just go in modes where it's just he's completely unstoppable. And then, he'll hover around when the shot's not quite falling. He'll hover around and not be in, those turning winning lineups. So until he regains that form or his ownership just gets to the point of where it's going to be too low, I wouldn't gravitate towards Lillard here. I'm expecting another scenario in which he's going to be very heavily owned. Rubio and Booker, it's tough. If Aiden's back, I don't think I could take the plunge on Rubio Booker at those prices. 8,800 and 7,500 respectively, especially not Rubio 7,500. But for Aiden to be back, I do like Aiden if he's back. I like Aiden a lot. He's my favorite player from this game, undoubtedly.
All right. Let's hit the next one. We got 2 left. Golden State hosting the Clippers. Ugh. I say ugh because, Clippers pretty good at defense. Let's look at the old schedule here. Clippers are not on a back-to-back. Would it shock you if somebody got a day of rest here? No, but it is a TNT game. So we'll have to see what happens. Now, ideally, we get Seth Curry back. That could be a lot of fun. Curry is fairly priced throughout the industry. He was out. He came back, played one game after missing, I don't remember, it was 53, 54 games. Came back, played one, and then he got sick. So he did not play on Saturday. But he, as long as he is healthy, should be available. He is 78 on DK, 78 on FanDuel, 44 on Yahoo. You are hoping for an incredibly efficient performance, but that is Steph Curry in and of himself. I do like his price point. He could get 50 fantasy points in his 28 to 30 minutes. That's not a stretch. A little bit of a tougher matchup, but we know he's capable of hitting it from anywhere on the court, and that's what he's going to have to do here against the Clippers, who have a pretty good defense. And remember, it was a hand injury, so his conditioning is not impacted at all.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be a completely different approach here, obviously, if Curry plays. And Draymond's already been ruled out. So it's hard to say. It's hard to think Curry would get a whole bunch of minutes, even in a TNT game. And I know people are going to want to see him play. He did put up, he's at 7,800 now on DraftKings. He did put up 42 points in only 27 minutes. So he's still a viable play. But obviously, if the word is that the minutes limit's going to be there, he's definitely capped in terms of his upside and GPP plays. And my favorite, I like Montrezl Harrell here. He doesn't get enough respect. I mean, his per minute production has been really, really good lately, and he's still pretty consistently in the 28 to 30 minute range, even with everyone back there. So Harrell could be a guy who not many people are going to look to, and is in a good spot here to go off against the Golden State team that is one of the better matchups in the league.
That's a good call out. I kind of ignored him on Sunday in the afternoon game against the Lakers. I thought it would be a poor matchup for him, and he ended up having his best game of the year against the Lakers. I just didn't particularly like it because of their the two big centers that they have, but he performed relatively well. Of course, they play Davis at the 5 a lot as well when he's healthy. So I just thought it was more of a Ivica Zubac matchup, in my opinion. But that's a good call out for him. We saw Paul George, who is at 7,700, did play 37 minutes against the Lakers. That is his high by far, basically in the last month. As he regains his form, he had 50 fantasy points there. They're not going to need him for that many against Golden State, we would think, but it is good to see that that potential does exist for him. File that one away for future dates. Let's see. Maybe Marquise Chris. He's up to 6,000. However, he has hit 40 fantasy points in each of his last 2 outings. He is getting a ton of rebounds. He's getting it on the double-doubles. And then he had 8 assists against Philadelphia. That was just an interesting game in and of itself. But it's nice to see him. He's on the season averaging 1.9 assists. But if we look over his last, his last 6 games, he is averaging 3.7. So, 8, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, etc. So that's nice to see, in addition to basically 3 combined blocks and steals, plus the double-double upside now that he is basically getting uncontested minutes with Draymond out. So he's okay. You can round things out, particularly these are more late slate plays with Eric Pascal. Who knows, maybe Mulder gets a few minutes here. You've got Damian Lee, etc. Those guys are just fine on that 3-game late slate. Anything else for this one for you?
Yeah, Lou Williams' price stands out. He hasn't broken. His minutes have really been trending down, so it's kind of hard to tell if this is a place to buy low or the minutes are here to stay down. He got 28 minutes, only put up 17 points against the Lakers. Had a 28-minute game against Philly and had 40 points. So the upside's there at 5,400 to really be. He can break. If he gets 28 against the Warriors, he can easily bust out 35, 40 points. So I don't think it's unrealistic to take a shot on Lou Williams and hope that something happens where I think you want this game to stay closer. He plays less in blowout situations. So if this game does stay closer, I think you have a good chance of seeing Lou Williams reached good value. I do agree with you on Chris and Pascal. I think those two are interesting. I probably wouldn't. I know they can both do well, but against the Clippers, it's hard to see two front court guys at this price reaching value, consistent value. I would play one or the other, and I would probably trend towards more Pascal. But I don't know. It depends if Curry if Curry if Curry doesn't play, I trend more towards Pascal. If Curry does play, I trend more towards Chris. I think that benefits more if Chris is in a more competitive game, and obviously if Curry plays, there's a better chance the Warriors are going to be competitive. So, yeah, that's how I would approach it.
All right, final game of the night here. Brooklyn at Lakers. Let's see. LeBron James questionable with a sore groin. Anthony Davis probable with a sore elbow. Anybody else? Garrett Temple is out again for Brooklyn, dealing with the sore ankle. Alex Caruso questionable. Let's see. Oh, actually, probable due to a sore right hamstring. We did see him kind of get shortchanged on minutes a couple games ago. I guess it was a couple days ago. I'm sorry. Just got 7 in his last game. Usually plays in the mid-teens. And then new acquisition, Dion Waiters, did not debut on Sunday. Coach Frank Vogel says it will probably be a few more games before Waiters returns, but he will return at some point.
The Dark Knight returns.
Wow. Yeah, don't really know what to do with that. If James is out, then Anthony Davis is amazing. If both of them play, they're a little less amazing next to each other from a fantasy point per dollar perspective. From an NBA perspective, they're absolutely phenomenal. Karis LeVert is in the mix here at 7,500. Of course, the Lakers have pretty good defense across the board, but LeVert is getting heavy minutes, and he is getting a lot of shot attempts. Spencer Dinwiddie is his counterpart there. You could say similar things about him. A little bit of a tougher matchup because potentially you could be seeing LeBron end up matching up against him. We saw DeAndre Jordan flip-flop starting roles with Jarrett Allen on Sunday. He ended up having 11 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 blocks for 43 fantasy points, just 4,900. He has moved up to 5,500. Don't know if he's going to be starting again here. What do you like from this one?
Yeah, so I mean, you hinted on Karis LeVert. I mean, he's been phenomenal. I mean, Dinwiddie's hit kind of a wall with LeVert's resurgence. So in the last 4 games, it just hasn't been. He hit 49 against Miami, and in the last 4 games, he's only been averaging. He hasn't reached. He hit 36 against Chicago, but hasn't reached much of anything there. I think LeVert. I think it's interesting that even against the Lakers, that his price has dropped. So over the last 5 games, his price has actually dropped on DraftKings by $700. So I think it's really interesting to note that they're kind of taking the matchup into account here. But I do like LeVert in this situation a real lot. I think he could be a great play and isn't going to be a heavy target against a tough Lakers defense. His usage has been off the charts, so I don't see. Do you agree with that? I don't think. I think that he could be, a guy who can go for 50 and at low ownership and really make an impact in GPPs.
Yeah, he does have that tournament upside. Lakers, I should have said that was the last game that we have here with the Vegas totals. They're favored by 11, but you could look to maybe Kyle Kuzma in some blowout run, perhaps.
Yeah, Kuzma. I'm not feeling the blowout on this one. I like Brooklyn hang tough. I always like teams that after they fire their coach. I think we talked about this before the show. I love teams after they fire their coach. They always seem to play competitive basketball. So the spread's a little up there, 11.5, but I think Brooklyn puts up a good fight here, and I'm not going to play the blowout. Obviously, like you said, LeBron, he's out. AD's lock and load, chalk city. The big boost, Kuzma gets a little bit of boost there, and then you're going to see the other peripheral guys, Rondo. So at 3,300 would become an instant play, either him or Caruso too. And yeah. So I mean, we can't really comment on the Lakers until LeBron's status is known. And then, nothing else from Brooklyn stands out tremendously, I guess.
All
Guess
right.
if Young gets a start, maybe, but
Well, that looks like it'll wrap it up for us here. Joey,
yeah.
thanks for joining. We've got 9 games in the book. Of course, you can get, I don't forget who it is, Josh Engelman and I think Adam on Tuesday here for the NBA DFS strategy show. You'll get the NHL hockey show in the afternoon. We, of course, have golf shows because we've got the Players' Championship this week. And then, of course, live before lock at 6 to 7. The deep dive from 5 to 6. Live before lock will go a little bit longer to accommodate SuperDraft. They are locking at 8 o'clock. I don't think they're going to stay on for a full hour, but you should get some extra run for them. Any final thoughts here, Joey?
Yeah, to head on that golf gun, we got some good golf stuff running right now because it's the first millionaire maker of the season. I think it's the first millionaire maker ever for the Players Championship on DraftKings. So we've got PGA yearly pass giveaway that we're doing. Just gets the winner of the Players Championship, and you are automatically entered to win that if you are correct. And then we're really pushing our 50% off weekly promo using promo code The Approach. So you can get a PGA weekly pass for only $4.50. That includes all the projections for the players, ownership projections, leverage scores, great premium content from Jason, Rosalind, and Ben Rasa, and of course tune into all of our golf shows. We have them running Wednesday nights. We'll have live before lock at 8:30 Eastern, and then we have I think we have the PGA strategy show at 2:30 Eastern tomorrow. So yeah, tons of great content. It's an exciting time to get into some golf. If you're tired of NBA because everyone decides to sit out at random times. DiVincenzo, no points, 0. Goose egg.
He hasn't gotten in the game yet, so.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna get in the game.
Very sad. I guess I shouldn't have.
I think he's sitting out.
I kept a third of him in my lineups, but I guess I shouldn't have. So.
Well, you're under the field, so you can be happy about that. Jeremy Grant's going off.
All right, gamers. With that, as I go into my final coughing fit here, my apologies. I hope that mute button was working. But you can follow us at Osmo. Check out the Osmo handle, Osmo_COM. All the fun deals, contests, and other announcements that we have going on. Follow us on YouTube. If we get to 30,000 followers, well, not if, it's when we get to 30,000 followers, we're going to have our biggest giveaway yet. So with that, gamers, good luck.